Good morning and welcome to Tuesday's Maths. So yesterday we started looking at fractions of pie charts. Today we're going to carry on with that learning and we're going to start to look at how we can use a fraction to work out the whole of the pie chart. And then if we know that, we can work out the number that each section of the pie chart represents. First things first, let's rewind. So, because we are looking at fractions of amounts today, we are looking at fractions of the pie chart, fractions of the whole thing that the pie chart represents. We're going to have a quick rewind of fractions of amounts. So, as quick as you can, what is half of 50? What's a quarter of 80? What's 1/3 of 12? And then if you know that, how do you work out 2/3 of 12? So, half of 50, to work out half, we divide by 2. 50 divided by 2 is 25. A quarter of 80, we divide by 4, is 20. 1/3 of 12, we divide 12 by 3, which is 4. If we know that 1/3 of 12 is 4, 2/3, we times it by 2, which is 8. Lovely. So let's do our discover for today. So we have got some weather charts, and these charts show the weather in London and Cyprus in April. So the top one shows London, the bottom one shows Cyprus. What does the blue segment represent? Rainy. What does the yellow dotty segment represent? How many days it was sunny. And what about the white ones? That represents how many days it was cloudy. So, question 1A is, in London, 1/3 of the month of April was rainy. How many days were sunny? And then question B, how many sunny days were there in Cyprus in April? So, with these kinds of questions, the most important thing is to try and gather as much information as you possibly can before you start. So, for question A, it says in London, 1/3 of the month of April was rainy. So, we know the whole pie chart represents the whole of April. So, what other number fact might we need to recall? What can we recall about April? How many days in April? Well, there are 30. So, we need to know that fact. We need to know that there are 30 days in April. We know 1/3 of those were rainy. What other fact do we need to know? Look at the pie chart. What else can you gather about how cloudy it is? Well, hopefully you can see that the cloudy days are half. And if you've got all of that, if you know what half is, you know how many days were rainy, you should be able to work out how many days were sunny. I'll give you lots of help there. So pause the video and then I'll go through the answer. Right, so there's two methods you can use to work this out. The first method is you can look at it in days. So you know that 1/3 of the days are rainy. You know there's 30 days in total. 1/3 of 30 is 10. So 10 days were rainy. You know that half the days are cloudy. Half of 30 is 15. So you know that 15 days were cloudy. So if 15 were cloudy, 10 were rainy. That was 25 days. How many days have you got left over then? If there's 30 altogether, well, you've got 5 because 30 take away 25 is 5. So 5 days were sunny. Or if you look at method 2, you could have kept it all in fractions and found the remaining fraction. So you could have said, well, I know that there's a half and 1/3 is the cloudy and the rainy. I can't add those together straight away, so let's turn them into common denominators. So 3/6 add 2/6 is 5/6. That tells me that 1/6 must be sunny then, because 5/6 add 1/6 makes 1 whole. What's a 1/6 of 30? Well, to find a 1/6, we divide by 6. So 1/6 of 30 is 5, because 30 divided by 6 is 5. Either way, you would get the same answer. So you can work out the amount of days or you can work out the fractions. Either way would get you the correct answer. Okay then, question B. How many sunny days were there in Cyprus in April? And hopefully by looking at those pie charts, you can tell that there was quite a lot more sunny days in Cyprus, because both pie charts represent 30 days and the Cyprus one shows a lot more of the pie chart as sunny. Right, so Let's gather all the information we can first of all. First thing to gather is there's 30 days. This pie chart represents 30 days. Now these segments are all equal, and that is really helpful when we're trying to work these things out. So I'm going to count the segments, and there are 15 segments. So let's gather as much information as possible. If there's 30 days in April and there's 15 segments, each segment is worth 2 days. From this then, we can count how many of the segments are sunny, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. If each one of those segments represents 2 days, 13 times 2 is 26. The other way you could have worked this out is using fractions. So we know that 2/15 of the days were not sunny. 1/15 of 30 would be 30 divided by 15, which is 2. 2/15 of 30 is 4. So you know that 4 out of 30 days weren't sunny. So you know that 26 days were sunny. Okay, so you can do it either way. It really doesn't matter. With these questions, it's all about gathering as much information as possible. If you can work out what the whole is, brilliant. If you can work out how many segments there are if they're equal, brilliant. If you can spot straight away a half or a third or a quarter, super. Okay, you need to use all the information to help you work out the answers for these. Okay then, it's think together time. Max has been finding out the favourite foods of the class, which he's shown us in the pie chart. And he's also told us that 4 more children like strawberries than popcorn. And he wants you to complete these statements. Right, have a go. Think about the last one, gather all the information you can, and then we'll go through it. Okay then, answer time. Well, I'm looking at this pie chart and I can see straight away that the fish fingers represent half. So I know that half of the class like fish fingers. Nice and easy. I can also see that this pie chart is split into 6 equal segments. So that tells me that the popcorn, 1/6 of the class like popcorn, 3/6 would like fish fingers, which obviously is equivalent to a half, and I can tell that 2/6 of the children would like strawberries. So I can work out the fractions really, really easily. Now, what's tricky about this is that we don't know what the whole is. We don't know what the whole pie chart represents. So it's tricky to work out how many children like strawberries. I know it's 2/6, but I don't know 2/6 of what, which makes it a little bit tricky. So again, there's a couple of ways you can look at this. Now, it tells you in the question that there are 4 more children who like strawberries than popcorn. Well, if 1/6 of the children like popcorn and 2/6 of the children like strawberries, what can you deduce? What can you work out from that? Well, hopefully you can tell me the difference between strawberries and popcorn is 1/6, and you know that numbers-wise, it's 4 more children. That's the difference between strawberries and popcorn is 4 children, and fraction-wise, it's 1/6. So this actually tells me that in this pie chart, 1/6 represents 4 children. Right, if you know that one segment, 1/6, is worth 4 children, how many children then like strawberries? Well, if one segment is 4 children, the 2 segments for the strawberries would be 8 children. And 8 children would be 8 out of 24. If you simplified that, that would be the same as 2/6 or 1/3. So that tells me I've definitely got that right. Now, bonus question. If you know that 1/6 represents 4 children, how many children were there altogether? Well, if 1/6 is 4 children, if I times it by 6 to work out 6/6, which is the whole, 6 times 4 is 24. So there was a class of 24 children. Really well done if you got that right. Right then, number 2. Isla investigated which school holiday was the favourite in the school. And there was 45 children said the summer holidays. How many children said Christmas? Okay, first things first, gather your facts. What facts can you tell me about this pie chart straight away? Well, hopefully you can tell me just by looking at it that this is split into equal segments. If I count those equal segments, there are 10. So there are 10 segments. Right. What else can you tell me? hopefully, just by looking at it, you can tell me that the blue dotty segments, which represent the summer holidays, they represent half of the pie chart. And you know that 45 children said the summer holidays. So you know that half this pie chart is worth 45 children. Okay, so I've written it down for you here. So half the pie chart is the same as 45 children, and I've just drawn a little child there so you can see it. So if half the pie chart is 45 children, to work out the whole pie chart, which would be 2 halves, I'd need to times it by 2. 45 times 2 is 90. So I now know that this whole pie chart represents 90 children. Now there's 10 segments. So how many children is each segment worth? If the whole thing's 90 and there's 10 segments, well, 90 divided by 10 is 9. So I now know that one segment is worth 9 children. Okay, let's use that then. We want to work out how many children, so Christmas. Christmas is 1, 2, 3, 4 segments. Each segment is worth 9 children. So 4 times 9 is 36. 36 children. Really well done if you got that right. Right then, into our workbook. So it is page 108. Have a look at them. They look tricky at first sight, but you need to gather all the evidence that you possibly can. So gather all your evidence, work out your segments, and then try and use what each fraction is to work out what the whole thing might be. So try and work out what one segment is worth. Okay, have a go at 1 and 2, and then we'll go through them. Right, number 1, a little bit tricky when you first look at it. Let's gather our facts. So I can see that this pie chart is split into equal segments, and there are 10 segments. Next thing I know that the part of the pie chart that represents oak is 12. That represents 12 trees. I know that 3 out of 10 segments are oak. So I know that 3/10 equals 12. Because I can see the 12 from the table, 3/10 from the pie chart. So if 3/10 equals 12 trees, I can divide them both by 3 to find out that 1/10, so one segment, is worth 4 trees. Right, if I know that one segment is worth 4 trees and there's 10 segments, how many trees altogether? 40. So I can write in the table, I can write the total is 40. There's 40 trees altogether. Well, pine is one segment, which tells me it's just 4 trees. Birch is 1, 2, 3, 4 segments. 4 times 4 is 16. And fir, there was 2 segments, which equals 8. To check I've got that right, I can add them all up, and they add up to 40. Right then, question 3 and 4. Have a go. Remember, gather your facts. Okay, gather the facts first of all, and then use those to help you work out everything else. Okay then, answer time. Right, number 3 was quite wordy. Okay, you really have to get your head around what it was trying to tell you. So Bella and Max are throwing beanbags at a target. Bella hit the outer target 28 times. Right, that's a fact. So I've written that down. I know the outer target is represented by the white segment. So on Bella's pie chart, I've written 28 by those 4 segments. This was 2 fewer than Max. Right, I did this the wrong way around first of all. I thought, fewer, that means Max must have done 26. But actually, Bella got fewer than Max. Bella got less than Max. So if Bella got 28, Max threw 30. Okay, so I now know that half of Max's throws were the outer target, and I know that his outer target was 30 throws. So I know that for Max, and as you can see, I've split my working out box, half for Max and the other half's for Bella. So I know a half of Max's throws were 30 throws. So then I know all the throws, times it by 2 would have been 60. So Max threw 60 times. Right, let's have a look at Bella's one then. Okay, so we need to kind of switch between Bella's and Max's. So let's now look at Bella's. Well, I've counted the segments. Bella's got equal segments and she's got 9 equal segments. So I know that 4 of those ninths represents the outer target. So 4 ninths is the same as 28 throws. that can't really help me work out the whole. So let's work out what 1/9 would be, because then I can times that by 9 to work out the whole. So 4/9 is 28. If I divide that by 4, 1/9 would be 7 throws. So now I need to times it all by 9 to work out 9/9, or the whole, which would be 63. So Bella threw 63 times. So Bella threw more than 70 times is false. So I'm putting a cross against that statement because it is false. Second one, Max threw fewer beanbags than Bella. Well, we already know that the whole of Max's pie chart represents 60 throws. Bella's was 63, so that is true. So that should be a tick. Last one, Bella scored 3 more bullseyes than Max. Right, we don't know about this yet, so let's work this out. So bullseyes is the dotty one. So if I look at Max's, it's been labelled as 1/10. So I need to work out a tenth of the whole. The whole is 60. A tenth of 60 is 6, because you divide by 10. So I know that Max scored 6 bullseyes. Now let's look at Bella. Bella scored 1/9 of hers were bullseyes. 1/9. The whole thing's 63. And so then if we can divide that by 9, 1/9 would be 7. So did Bella score 3 more bullseyes than Max? No, she didn't. So that would be false. Okay then, answer time for number 4. This one is bringing in a lot of fraction knowledge that we've done previously. So this pie chart shows which school dinners the children in class 6 prefer. Right, let's look at this pie chart. What can we tell? What facts can we gather straight away? Well, we know that pizza represents a third, and we know that roast dinners, look, it's got that little box in the corner. So the roast dinners represent a quarter. Okay, if we know that the people that like pizza are a third, roast dinners are a quarter, we can work out how many children like curry. So 1/3 add 1/4. I can't do straight away because the denominators aren't the same. So let's make them common denominators. Let's turn them into twelfths. 4/12 add 3/12 is 7/12. So I know that roast dinners and pizzas together is 7/12. How can that help me work out the curry? Well, I know that 1 whole is the same as 12/12. 12/12 take away those 7/12 would leave us with 5/12. So I know that 5/12 of the children like curry. Okay, that was bringing lots and lots of old knowledge back in. So well done if you could recall all of that. Right, next one then. 96 children like roast dinner. Okay, so we know that 96 children equals a quarter. So let's work out what 4/4 or the whole would be then. So we would do 96 times 4, which is 384. So this shows 364 children, which seems a lot just to be in one class. But there we go. So one class is made up of 384 children. I feel like that should say year 6 or even a school, not just a class. So the whole thing's worth 384 children, which is an awful lot of children. We then need to work out how many of them liked the pizza and curry. So we know that 96 like roast dinners. All together, there's 384 of them. So we do 384, take away the 96, which like the roast dinner, which would be 288. So together, 288 children like pizza and curry. Super. Well done if you got those right. Right then, challenge time. Have a go at this one. Okay, this one, it just takes a little bit of reading to get your head around it, but you can work this out. Okay, have a go. With this one, I think that B, I think it should say how much more papaya is needed than pineapple, because papaya is the bigger section. So I think it should say how much more papaya is needed than pineapple. Okay. Straight away, gather your facts. I can see that apple is represented by a quarter. Orange is also a quarter because it's got the little right angle that shows me that. So I know that apple and orange together represent a half, which tells me that papaya, pineapple and mango together must also represent a half. So there's twice as much pineapple as mango, and there's twice as much papaya as pineapple. So this tells me if there's one section of mango that means there's 2 sections of pineapple because it's twice as big as mango. And if there's twice as much papaya as pineapple, that then would be 4 sections. So that half is split into 4, 5, 6, 7 sections. That's only half of the pie chart though, remember. So that means the whole pie chart must be in 14ths because there's 7 in one half and 7 in the other. What fraction is mango then? Well, mango is 1 out of those 14 sections, so it's 1/14. Right, for B then, I think it should be papaya rather than pineapple. So in 350 millilitres of fruit juice, so 350 millilitres is the whole thing. Divide that by 14 to find out 1 segment. So 350 divided by 14 is 25 millilitres. So 1/14 is 25 millilitres. We know that there's 2/14 more of papaya than pineapple. 25 times 2 is 50. Really, really well done if you got that right.